Broadcasting from the beautiful Great Lakes state of Michigan, I'm Tom Bartholomew, your host of the Michigan Contractor Show. And I worked in the construction industry for over 25 years. I started on a job site when I was 14, working for my dad on a vinyl siding job. Now I spend all my time running a digital marketing agency where I help contractors and companies in the skilled trade promote their business and reach customers in ways they never thought possible. Again, my name is Tom, and let's get to today's guest.
My guest today is a leadership development consultant, a speaker, a coach, the founder of Empowering Life Today that was created to help individuals and organizations grow to their highest potentials. I want to introduce to you William Gay III. Thanks for joining me today, William.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Empowering Life Today, tell us about that and what you do.
It comes down to, well, exactly as the words are, empowering life, empowering people and organizations to grow and develop. And, you know, let's face it, contractors are smart cookies. They've got, the intelligence to know they can't know it all. You know, they subcontract, they get experts in for all the different areas so that they don't have to know it all. And, not many contractors reach out to consultants, but they're smart enough to reach out to a CPA. They're smart enough to reach out for financial advice. So if a contractor's having issues, getting, the subs to show up on time, their staff, their hourly people to do what they need to do and, not be drunk, or who knows what the situation is, or maybe it's find more business. The smart ones are reaching out to somebody to get help with that because, up in your area, I don't know, down here, Oakland County and that sort of thing, they're dying for contractors. They're dying for people to show up. So anyone that doesn't have business, that's insane. And that's one of many areas that I help people is where is it that something's missing? Let's identify that. Not too hard, you wouldn't think, but it's the old forest for the trees. When you're in the trees, how the heck do you see the forest? That's where somebody like me comes in, helps you see those trees, get you there and accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. 1,000, jobs this year, with a 10 million in revenue, or one great job that lasts the entire year. They're out there. We all know it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you're right. Sometimes that it's the subcontractors I hear from the customers that I work with anyway, they have a hard time getting subs to always show up. So when they find a reputable sub, they definitely hold on to them for sure.
Absolutely. And that sub ends up being super booked out because, it's what you put out comes back to you. Quality person, you get quality things back. So how do you hang on to that sub? How do you massage that sub so that you're their favorite and they show up? Is it the case of beer that you buy them at the end of a job or something completely different? But there's all sorts of tools and techniques that, again, contractors know their stuff. These are smart cookies, how they do things and the little, but that takes years to figure out. Well, I took 30 plus years to figure out leadership. I took 30 years to figure out these techniques, stupid little things that just make it so much easier, so much better through a question. How do you ask the question? Through checking out other things. I'm always astounded about all the great things that contractors are up to.
Yeah, they definitely are always have something new going on, a lot of them. When we talked earlier, you were talking about how you help people do amazing things. How can contractors, how can they do amazing things?
Really what it comes down to, it's a pretty simple concept, but it's hard to internalize. It's not about you. All right. So many people make it about them. I talk about me, my 30 years of experience. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that I've been doing this for 30 years. What they care about is the results. They care about how I've helped people go from damn near on the edge of bankruptcy to making over 100,000 a month. That's what they care about. And we could spend hours talking about that, but everyone's position's different. This is why I'm bloody picky about who I'll work with, because we'll spend some time, we'll talk, we'll figure these things out. But at its core, base thing, when you're talking to a sub, when you're talking to your, even your CPA, it's not about you. It's about them. And when you put it about them, all of a sudden the door is open, the world is great, and all, changes happen. But that's a hard concept to get.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that can be a difficult concept because people, who is everybody's favorite person? Themselves, right?
Absolutely.
And we always hear people talk about, work on yourself, focus on yourself. But what you're saying is when you're a contractor and you have subs, and this kind of goes back to what you were just saying, that if you now are concerned about them, don't focus on you. Don't tell the subs how good you are. Focus on you talked about getting them a case of beer, showing appreciation. I think those things are very important to show that you care for that person, so they feel like you're focusing on them. I think that's great advice.
Absolutely. That's, again, it's not about you. It may feel like it's about you when they don't show up or they do a crap job, which makes you look, horrible to the person that's paying for the job, but it's not about you. It really isn't.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you had said that you like working with specific types of leaders, like maybe a first-time leader. Tell me about that. Why you like working with first-time leaders?
First-time leaders have an openness, a willingness to learn, at least the good ones. But that's just as true as somebody that's been around the block. I've worked with people that have decades on me. But if we really look at the successful people out there, I'm going to use a name just because it's a popular one. I don't care whether you like them or don't like them, but we look at a Donald Trump. All right. Hate him, love him, it doesn't matter. The man's worth what? Damn near $1 billion. And he's done this by continuing to learn. He hasn't just sat back and done nothing. He doesn't think that he knows it. He comes off like he knows it all, but he does have advisors. He does have people that he listens to grow. And I don't care if we're talking about the wins, whoever, if you look at a major player out there, if that's your goal, a successful contractor, again, whether that's a small team or global, they're learning. They're open to what else somebody else knows. They don't think they know it all. I mean, the old Henry Ford, I want to have people smarter than myself around me. Don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. And when you get that, again, doors open, miracles happen. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's not about you, right? And I think that when you can learn to admit that maybe you don't know everything, that's when you can really be open to learning, just like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's it. And change and making it happen. I mean, you've got the fortitude, you've become a contractor. I just can't compliment that enough. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot of hard work. So can you tell me what the difference between leadership and management? I hear both of those terms, and a lot of times people think they're interchangeable, that they're the same thing, but I don't necessarily think that they are, and I'd like to know what you think about that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Unfortunately, we've all had managers in our life that couldn't lead their way out of a paper bag. A manager is somebody who, I mean, by its definition, manages. They organize things around them, versus a leader. The guy picking up trash around the job site could be a leader without absolutely having no management or no upper level, title or anything like that. I mean, most of us have seen the old movie Rudy, and Rudy, wanted to be on the Notre Dame football team. Great, terrific, but he was a little guy. And it wasn't until his senior year, but he was the leader of that. He wasn't the captain of the team. He wasn't the coach, but he was in no uncertain terms the leader of the team because he set the example. He put his heart and soul into everything that he's doing. And when we do those types of things, we're leaders. As contractors, we also need to be managers. We need to look at the big picture and manage the finances and everything else. And when you can combine those things, again, that's where the money comes from. That's where the success comes from. Just being one or the other, no. Just no, it doesn't work.
Okay, yeah, I think that's absolutely true. A leader leads people, right? Gives examples,
They
by
set
doing.
the example even more.
Yes, and a manager manages things. They manage their phone calls. They manage their files, their computer, their schedules. That's
Exactly.
what a manager. Yes.
I mean, I worked with a man that I admire the heck out of. He actually started out just doing the trades. He was an electrician in Boston. So, I mean, very rough guy here. Okay. But worked his skills, created a company, got the electrical contract to do all of the Home Depots in the Northeastern United States, and obviously became a multi-millionaire. He partnered with a guy who actually sent him to charm school, though. Literally charm school, because he was the type of personality that the beatings will continue until morale increases, which nobody likes that. It just doesn't work. And his partner sent him to charm school. That hard attitude did come out every once in a while, but it definitely softened him and created a better leader that now, he's branched off and done even more things, but just an amazing guy.
Yeah, what a great story. Now, it sounds like he had someone that could point that out, that he trusted, right? You got to have a trusted person to point that out to you. And what would you say would be so it sounds like he was a bad leader at first. What would you say would be a warning sign of bad leadership?
Another great question. And it just leads straight into what makes a good leader. And let's talk just for a second about that. Decades ago, I was actually taught dance, ballroom dancing, where you're actually with somebody, not to get out and shake, but you actually have to dance somebody. And in dancing, you have to lead. Of course, how does the person that's in front of you know to get around? And it's a great example that if you're pushing, you are shoving that person around, what happens to that person? They fall over. That doesn't work. And what's the other direction? What if you're just, you're mellow, you're spaghetti? Well, then you're just walking into the person. That doesn't work. In dance and leadership, if you're here, you just hold your spot. Just holding that spot means that the people around you can follow. Now, for contractors and everything else, it's wimpy, it's dance, whatever. But the technique works. Be who you are, just hold who you are. So to answer your question, which again, great question. What are the signs and symptoms? How do I know that I'm being a crap leader? What's your turnover rate? How many people don't show up on time? How many people don't pay their bills? These are all signs that maybe what you're doing needs some tweaking, needs some work. And that's where, if you're smart enough, look, lots of contractors, especially with smaller organizations, their families into it, their wives, listen to that other person, listen to the people under you. If they're talking crap about you, that's gold. That's wonderful. What are they saying? They're saying that you never show up on the site. Oh, maybe there's something to be learned from that. Well, I'm always working on the next sales thing. Okay, but the people underneath you aren't seeing that. They're seeing that you're never at the job site and they're working their tails off. Listen to the people, listen to the crap. That's where the gold is. That's bad news. Bad news is the best news, because that's where the gold is, that you can learn and grow. And that's where we'll use Donald again. That's where he doesn't listen to people that say, stop tweeting. We love you, but shut up. He's not listening to that. and results are out there, and you'll see the results yourself. That what are you putting out? Listen to those people, tweak yourself just a little bit. I'm not saying change. Nobody wants to change, but you tweak those little things. All of a sudden, people want to show up on time. Literally, they want to be there. People, you're not asking for them to pay their bills. They're saying, here's the next job. Here's the next thing. Here's more money. Because you're connected, you're communicating, you're leading, not just managing, and all those things come together. And again, it solves problems. And that's the ultimate point here. How do you solve that problem? How do you get people to show up and do what you want them to do or need them to do to have a successful project?
Wow, that was great information. And I think that those are great signs of bad leadership. But I love how you said that when they're talking crap, that's great. And we could argue by your definition that Donald Trump was a bad leader because he didn't listen.
From that standpoint, absolutely.
Yes. And that showed that he was possibly a bad leader. And I'm not saying I think that or not. I'm just saying because he didn't get reelected. So that was the proof that because he didn't listen, he was a bad leader.
Absolutely. And we can say that of any president. We could say that, from Biden today, is he listening about Keystone Pipeline to Obama? Is he listening to, who are these people listening to? And it's not about politics. These are just examples of when are people listening? When are they not listening? And what are the results that they're creating? And that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate thing as a contractor, as somebody that's watching this podcast. You want to be a success. If you're obviously a pretty smart cookie because you're watching this, which means you want to learn, and that's huge. We can all learn things. Donald, for example, most presidents, I'm going to say, haven't learned necessarily to listen to the average person, listen for the bad stuff. And there's yes, you need to be firm in what you're doing, but if you really want to be a success, you really want to be somebody amazing, you've got to listen to the bad and own that. Own that is really what it comes down to.
Absolutely listening. And you're right, it's not about politics. I don't think that Donald was a good or bad leader. I was just talking about what you were saying.
No, exactly.
To let everybody
Absolutely.
know. And I think you are right that the people that are watching or listening are very smart if they're listening to this show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They are, because that means they want to learn. They want to get better. They see there's a problem, which is huge. How many people do we know? Contractors, subs, everyone else. How many do we know that think their shit doesn't stink? I don't know if you're allowed to swear on your podcast, but they're so perfect that their stuff doesn't matter, which means you don't matter. And if you don't matter, why the heck are you working with them or for them? So the fact somebody's smart enough to watch this, that means they're out there, they're looking to learn more. That's friggin' huge. That's somebody that wants to be a success.
I agree. You want to always be learning. That's learners. Leaders are learners. I've heard that before. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of my favorite shows is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he just talks a lot about leadership and stuff. One of the things that he says is that your employees, they don't work for you. As a leader, you work for your employees. What do you think about that?
I'm a huge fan, and I believe he's mentioned it, and is that in servant leadership. But there's a balance here, and that's you're working for yourself. I mean, one of my favorite things is, and it's hard in a podcast to ask this question, so I get to give you the answer. For people watching, I'm going to pause for a heartbeat when I ask this question. For people watching, do you know what the absolute most favorite word of anyone on the planet is? So there's the pause. Hopefully you've come up with a word in your mind. Lots of people say yes. Lots of people say no. The reality is the most favorite word of everyone on the planet is their name. So we value ourselves. We need to value ourselves to be a human being. And that's just the reality of it. So when you get to, you need to put others ahead of yourself, I caution on that. There's some balance that needs to be done. That doesn't mean the other person's not insanely important. But so are you as the leader. So are you as the manager, because without you, there's nothing to come together. You're the one that brings all this together. So there's a balancing act that comes along with this. And that's, you're just as important as they are. They are hugely important. They don't care about you. So when you make it about them, you get what you want. And that's one of the paradigms that I've brought up with you, Tom, is there's a gentleman I recommend following immensely. His name is Chris Voss. He is the lead he's retired, so lead hostage negotiator for the FBI. Brilliant guy. His book is Never Split the Difference. Now, I'm not associated with Chris. I don't get anything for Chris. I just respect the bejesus out of Chris. Think about that title for a second, though. Never split the difference. When we put other people ahead of ourselves, it's compromise. It's saying that you're more important than me. And what, Chris points out, in a hostage negotiation, somebody's got a gun to the person's head. You can't just say, oh, just shoot the person and then we kill you and we're done with it. That's not going to work. And win-win, what's a win-win? The robber walks away, or the person holding the other person hostage walks away with $10 million. And no, that doesn't work. So splitting the difference, to put it in everyday terms, you've got one brown shoe, you've got one black shoe. You're split the difference. You're going to wear one of each, and each day you're going to switch so that you wear them out evenly. No, that doesn't work. That's insane. So Chris is teaching through his experience, again, he was the lead. He was the one that wrote the book for the FBI, now teaches businesses, now teaches individuals that whenever you want somebody to say, yes, I want you to show up on time, I want you to do a great job, I want my coffee the way I want my coffee, you are asking for a yes. That's a negotiation. That's asking something of somebody else. You can go to Starbucks, give me my damn coffee, you jerk. And then they give you a decaf, or they spit in it, or it's 50% water. It doesn't work. And you're splitting the difference. Kissing their butt. Oh, here's $100 because I want my coffee the way I want it. That doesn't work either. So that's where there's a balance. There's Chris teaches specifics. It's brilliant. His podcasts are awesome. I can't recommend him. His books are brilliant. And he teaches just very specific things. Where I work with generalities, I work with individuals because I feel every individual is slightly different. He teaches things like how to ask, how to get your coffee perfect every day, how to get discounts, how to get people to show up, what you need to do to accomplish these things. And that's here I am, an interview about me, and I can't talk highly enough about Chris, because it's a brilliant guy teaching these specific things. And that's another aspect that I would offer people that I work with, is that 30 years comes in to bring together all these different things, just like you as a contractor bring in all these different subs to make a project happen. It works, and it's not splitting any differences, if that follows.
Oh, that's great. And Chris Voss, I've heard of Chris, and I recommend him as well. I think that's a great reference. What else would you like to tell the contractors listening here that they could do to, what can they do today? What can they do today? Right after they get done with the show, what can make them a better leader?
Right off today, which is brilliant. Go back to those negatives. Another, just digressing here for a second, another way to notice that, what are you frustrated about? Who's pissing you off today? Who's making you angry today? The odds are, if you can recognize those things and then tweak them, You can change them, not just change them because, yeah, you forced that bugger to get the job done. You got that check or whatever it happens to be. No, you change them that all of a sudden through recognizing that, again, they're showing up. They're going, wow, I want to work for you. I want to get this done and do the best job that I can do in the time frame, maybe even ahead of schedule. Who knows what that is? So right now, the thing to do, what are you frustrated with? What are the crap things that you're hearing? What makes you angry about the things that are going on? Start with that, because that's your change. Those are the things that need to be worked on. If you get there, then we take it to next steps. Then you reach out to me, you reach out to a Chris Voss, you reach out to your partner, wife, whatever it happens to be, somebody else to talk about making those changes. But you got to know what to change. If you don't even know what you don't even know, how can you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you have referenced a couple times to listen to the bad, listen to the crap. If somebody's making you mad and they say something, well, you should really contemplate what they're saying, because there's probably a lot of truth to that. Absolutely.
Well, it's at least the other person's truth. And that's a key distinguisher. Chris talks about that a lot. It's at least understanding where the other person's coming from. And again, it's not about you. It's about them. And I've had somebody tell me years ago, you need to be friends with these people, but you can't ask them about themselves. And it's like, what am I, a mind reader? Give me a break. No. But when there's frustration, when there's crap going on and you listen to that, you don't have to read their minds. You don't have to be their buddy. You're not kissing their butt, but you understand where they're coming from. And your goal as a leader, as a manager, is to get results. That's what you're bloody there for. So if we understand those, we can get the results. That's, again, the gold. That's where the money is. That's where the growth is, whatever it is that you happen to be going for.
Awesome. Great advice. I hope people are really thinking about that today and not thinking about themselves, thinking about putting others first, listening to the crap, trying to get better. That's great information. So I know if anybody would like to know more about you or find you, they can find you on LinkedIn at William Gay III.
Yep.
And I'll put that in the show notes so that way they can.
Or William Gay the Turd. I've been told that too. That's all right.
Oh, awesome. Well, William, I had a great time talking to you today, and I know I learned a tremendous amount about leadership and how to get better. Good to have a trusted person, listen to the bad, try to improve on that stuff. Awesome advice. And hey, just thanks for being here today. Thanks for spending your time with us, and I really enjoyed.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tom, and thank you for bringing this out there to people and getting your podcasts. Again, it's a huge thing. There's never enough. I don't care if there's 50 channels out there or 100 channels. There should be 105, because what you say and what you present to people is going to make a difference for somebody. We're not all the same, and what you're doing is huge. So thank you for bringing it out there and putting it out there. That's just a huge thing, and I appreciate being here.
Hey, thank you, William. And if you like the show, go ahead and give it a thumbs up or a rating on podcast. You can and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to talking to you next time. A new episode every Tuesday. Thank you so much. If you'd like to find out more information about this show or about William, you can go to MichiganContractorshow.com. It's got all sorts of information you can find out there, episodes, different companies with great tips, just like this show, about your business and how you can get better. Thanks again. We'll see you next Tuesday.